Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody, it's Cindy here. Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just so appreciate you. And if you have any topics you really want me to address, please email me at cindydwhitmer.com and let me know what you would like to hear more about, and I'd be happy to consider your ideas and see if I can provide something that is meaningful for you around it. So this year is one of those sort of rare years where we have a leap year. We have an extra day, February 29th, and that's coming right up. And so I thought about the concept of leaping in midlife. And what would that mean if we were to leap in midlife? And so I looked up the definition of leaping, and there were several. One was moving quickly and suddenly. Another one was jumping across or over. Another one was to act with eagerness, act eagerly, very excited, like. And another was to simply accept an opportunity. So take a leap, I guess. Take the leap, accept the opportunity. And there were others, but I thought those were all great. And so I thought, oh, let's talk about what it would be like if we were to do some leaping in midlife. Well, I like to look at all aspects of life when I'm teaching and coaching. And so I tend to look at life in 5 or 6 areas. And that is our health, our finances, our relationships, our professional part of our life, which could be caregiving, it could be a job, it could be a business, it could be volunteering, it could be domestic life, it could be whatever it is, but whatever you consider your profession, our personal development, and then the environments in which we live and work and reside, spend most of our time. And so I thought about different examples of ways that I know, and stories I know of people who have taken a leap in these areas, in several of these areas. I want to share with those with you today. But first, I want you to think about, like we talked about last week, that we're well into the new year. We're a couple months in. And usually this is the time of year where people either have now forgotten what their New Year's resolutions or goals were, or they've given up on them, or they've grown particularly frustrated and aren't sure what to do. And so last week I taught you about habit stacking, so ways to incorporate and integrate new behaviors in already existing behaviors in your routine. So if you didn't listen to that one and that's something you feel drawn to, please go back and listen to it. But anyway, part of what I want to address today is what holds us back, from really creating the lives that we want. So what would hold you back from leaping, in your life to create what you really, really want? And basically, I think it comes down to just a few things. One is fear, of course, the fear of success, the fear of failure. Both are very, very common. People sometimes fear success because they don't want their lives to change. Like they're afraid of what it might do to their lives if they had more money or had more things, or more obligations, or more accolades, or fame, or whatever. As well as, of course, the fear of failure. A lot of times why we don't try anything new, especially by midlife, is because we're really stuck in our ways And we let our mind tell us stories about how, age or this stage in life makes us, too old, to this, to that, to try new things. And so we just get held back, right? And another thing that holds us back is experiences from the past, which often cause those fears, right? But it can also be, oh, I did that once and it didn't work out, so I'm not going to do it again. Or, that person was, I was treated poorly before, so I'm not going to do that again. Just all things like this. So the past can kind of haunt us a little bit if we've struggled with certain things when we want to, change our lives, and then fear. And so understanding that about yourself is very, very important, like understanding what's actually holding you back. And so I want you to check your thoughts around those fears. Like you might think, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not short enough, I'm too old, I'm too stuck in my ways, I can't learn anything anymore, I forget everything now, I'm not strong enough, just whatever, because your fears have a language. There's a language of your fear, and those are some of the things you're saying in your minds that will keep you from trying new things, or making a decision that really excites you or whatever. So let's talk about some examples specifically of people leaping in my mind. So, one of the definitions again was moving quickly and suddenly. And to me, this sounds like an urgent change that needs to be made. Like leaping in this case would be something urgent. So, once you think about if there's anything urgent, that needs your attention, this could be all kinds of things. But let me tell you about Tom. Tom is someone in my family who, I believe it was 5 years ago, called us up. He'd had a sore leg and then a sore hip, and he went into the doctor to discuss options of treatment for the sore hip, and found out that I think he failed an EKG or something. Anyway, he for what in whatever way, a stress test or something, he found out that his heart was in serious trouble, and he had to have literally the next day, called us up in the evening, and the very next day had to have a quadruple bypass surgery. So there you go. He had to leap right into that scenario to make a big change fast because it was urgent. Now, that could have been a life and death matter. And you may think I'm being overly dramatic right now, but I want you to think for a minute about if there is any urgency in your life that you are ignoring or hesitating about because you're afraid. Is there something that you absolutely know you need to address? Maybe you're addicted to alcohol or drugs, and you need help and you're not doing it, and it's starting to destroy your life in different areas. Maybe you're in a relationship that is very toxic and damaging, or physically abusive, or emotionally abusive, and there really isn't urgency around it, and you're scared, and so you're stuck. Maybe you're working a job that you hate so much that it's actually causing you physical symptoms and things like that. And you need to have a conversation with your supervisor, or you need to find another job or get out somehow, whatever. Anyway, there's that kind of leaping, right, in midlife where something must be done, and it must be done sooner rather than later. So please identify any of those that may be in your life, and find whatever you can inside yourself to take some steps in moving in a positive direction. Okay, what about the definition that says jump across or over? I kind of translate that as doing something new. You know, going to the other side of something, trying something new you've never done before. Well, recently I heard the story of the woman behind the chain Auntie Annie's Pretzels. And I've never looked into this before. I'm not a huge pretzel person, so I didn't know anything about the story behind that, um, that eatery. But I listened to a whole thing about her story, and interestingly, I mean, there's a whole great story there, a whole testimony of all kinds of things. But I'm going to just briefly tell you. I encourage you to look into it. Her name is Anne, I believe, Beiler, Beiler. Anyway, she went through a very traumatic experience and was living a very traditional life at the time. And at one point, she and her husband just did not have any money. They just didn't have money. And he was offering to do marriage counseling with couples for free. And she was like, she had been a stay at home mother and so forth, and homemaker and everything. And she decided, hey, I've got to go make us some money. I got to go do something. And so she started working at a farmer's market storefront, making the recipes that were already there were recipes already given to her for, I don't know, pretzels was one of them, of course, but there was also lemonade, and there was, I think, ice cream and different products. But anyway, so that's where it started, was this need to make a move quickly to start bringing in some household income. And eventually, she and her husband thought, these pretzels aren't very good. What could we do to change these pretzels? And they added something to the recipe. They changed it around, and pretty soon, like all of a sudden, people were lining up to eat these pretzels. And then it eventually turned into 900 different locations selling these pretzels. So what you and I know as Auntie Annie's or Anne's Pretzels was really a leap of faith that they took way back when they were broke. And she just started working, making this food for somebody else, and then turned it into a whole conglomerate that ended up, making millions of dollars and bringing love and light to the world, as she says. So, trying something new can take you places you never imagined. Like she had said in the interview I heard, she said, we had no agenda at all other than to get some cash flow in our house. Like they just needed money to take care of their girls and to take care of their bills, and no thought of fame or fortune or nothing like that. Had never even had a business before, didn't know anything about business, no education in business, nothing. So, wow, talk about leaping. Okay, then another definition was acting eagerly, right? So, acting eagerly. And I think of all of you that I've spoken to over the years about relationships and midlife and dating in midlife. Many of you end up, divorced or widowed, and or have a long-term partnership breakup or whatever, and end up back out there in the game. And also many of you hesitating and not wanting to do it and being afraid to do it and worried about scammers and worried about liars and just worried about starting over with someone new in your life, but yet being lonesome and wanting companionship and fun and so forth and so on. And so I look at this one a couple of different ways. Like, you can sit at home and be alone, and that's fine as long as you're happy. But if you're not happy and you want to have that, then it may be time to act eagerly. It takes courage. I know this because I got divorced 12 years ago, And I waited a couple years and then I really started diving into dating. And I know it takes courage. It takes courage to put up a profile if you do online dating. It takes courage to reach out and email people you don't know or accept phone calls from people you don't know. And then of course going out and meeting them the first time and things like that. It all takes courage. But if you don't do it, you're never going to know what's possible. What if I hadn't taken that leap in my life? I mean, I am a happily married, second chance at love example where I've been with Ed for almost 7 years. We got married not quite, it's not been a year yet, but we've been together almost 7 years. And it has brought to my life additional young adult children, grandchildren, travels all over the world, a lovely home environment that we share that we love, and just so much companionship and joy and fun. And so, but what if he hadn't taken the leap of dating again after each of us went through really long marriages and really, really, divorce, which is such a difficult thing. So, and the other thing is that maybe you are out there and maybe you are with someone and maybe you're enjoying that person so much and you really love them, but you haven't told them how you feel, and you're scared and you're hesitant and you're wondering if it'll shake things up in a way you don't want it to or whatever. Well, so leaping in midlife and acting eagerly can mean telling the truth faster, telling the truth. Because if we aren't willing to tell the truth about how we feel about someone, you cannot keep growing. You're not going to grow together. Ed and I dated for quite a while, and we did finally tell each other that we loved each other. And it was a few months after that that he said he felt like we had grown as much as we could grow, just dating, spending a few evenings together a week or whatever. And so he asked if I would consider living with him so we could continue to see, how our relationship could evolve or not under those more, intensifying the circumstances. And, that took courage for him to ask me to move in with him. He'd never lived with anyone before except his wife, of course, that he was married to for 27 years. And I had never lived with anyone either, except my husband of 22 years, and didn't think I would live with anyone. That I just didn't think philosophically I would do that until I was engaged or married again. I just didn't, for me, that just didn't really was not my thought process. And so when he asked me, it was like I had to think outside my own box there and have the courage to, I mean, I could have said no and then see what, how our relationship would evolve or whatever, or not. But I took a leap and I said yes and moved in with him. And we just kept growing and growing and growing. And I'm so thankful that we did. And and then when COVID rolled around not long after that, here we were in our bubble together. So thank goodness. So we had that. And, just, I'm so grateful for that. And then by the time we got married, we felt married, I think, for quite some time. But it took a leap, right? It took a leap after being divorced for both of us to date again. And we both had dated other people, for years. I mean, we didn't meet each other until years and years and years after our divorces. And then to, say yes to love again and to get married again. That was another, leap of faith, right? Okay. And then what about accepting an opportunity? That's another definition of leaping in midlife, accepting an opportunity. So my question is what do you want to allow yourself to do that you haven't done, that you're not yet doing? What do you want to allow yourself to do? And this made me think of one of my best friends who recently took a trip out of the country with people she did not know Went off to this beautiful setting in Costa Rica and had kind of a yoga retreat experience with other activities and excursions and things. And she took a leap there, right? Because she went with people she didn't know. She went to a place she'd never been, and took classes under an instructor she had never heard of prior to that experience, and so forth. But yet it was such a lovely growth opportunity, such a wonderful adventure for her, such a neat personal development experience. And she's made new friends now, and she's done some things she's never done before and seen places she's never seen before. Just think about that. What if she had sat back because someone invited her that she didn't know, but they had their kids were mutual friends, or anyway, something. And and she has just in her life, in midlife, and as her life has evolved since a divorce she was not expecting at all, has remained curious about life and said yes to life in many different ways. And I just love that example of her going on this trip recently too, to illustrate what I'm talking about today. So, what do you want to allow yourself to do that you haven't done? What urgencies do you have in your life? Is there an urgent situation in your life, whether it's financial, health wise, relationship wise, professionally, in your own development, whatever it is there some urgency there? What is something you would love to try new, or are feeling pulled to try that's new for you, that would be a leap and take a leap of faith with you? And what really excites you, but you're holding back and not letting yourself eagerly move forward doing those things? All you need to do is start, make one shift, just take one step, one leap, one little leap toward the big leap, right? What is, like, for example, if you want to allow yourself to go to a country you've never been to before, right? Maybe you want to go to Italy. You've never been there before, and you don't speak Italian, you don't know anything about traveling internationally, you've never done that before. What if you just applied for a passport? What if you just did that? Or what if you just signed up for an Italian speaking class to learn basic Italian? What if you just, got online and researched, vacation packages to Italy? What if you just did these things? See, as you go toward what you really want, you take just first steps going toward what you really want. Then the fears start to to feel smaller. They're not as big of a deal, because once you have more information or you start moving towards something, you get some momentum going, you get inspired, and it feels better. So I know you're afraid to leap. I know a lot of you are out there holding back, hesitating, afraid of what could go wrong, afraid of what might be a mistake in your mind, whatever. But what if you don't change anything? What if you just stay stuck where you are and you just continue to long for something more and wish for things in your mind and sit back and feel incomplete, or, unsatisfied, empty, lonely, whatever it is? Is that actually living? I would rather see you do some leaping and maybe even fall flat for a minute on your face, because then you'll at least feel alive and you'll know, hey, I can try things. And even if they don't work out, I can try something again, because life is not over. You are in midlife and you may have decades left to live. So, how about you really, really, really get leaping and start really, really living? So, let's symbolically let this leap year encourage all of us to take some leaps in our lives in areas where we know something needs to change or we want something to change. If you would like help with your changes and help building your confidence, I want you to go right now to timewithcindy.com, because in there you can schedule a time with me, because one of the things I do is help you build unwavering confidence so you can create the life that you want. And when you set up a little time with me to talk, you're given a link to take the Midlife Confidence Profile, which will take you about 5, 6, 7 minutes maybe to fill out. And then I can look at that with you and we can talk together about what ways we can build your confidence so you can really, really continue to move yourself forward. So timewithcindy.com. Get to leaping out there. Let me know how you're doing, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with those that you think would also benefit from what we're doing here. And I will talk to you again soon.